What's up, sophomores? It's time to get out of bed. Got your lesson 3 notes of unit 3 here. Come on, Parker. Come on, Caden McClure. Wake up. You know, I just thought of something, McClures. You two brothers probably sit there and play video games together. Parker and Caden, do you sit there and watch these videos together? You have to tell me that next time I see you. Or send me a message on School of Me and say, no, we don't watch them together. Or say, yeah, we watch them together. All right. Sophomores, before we get started on this cold, snowy day, I'm going to show all of you the joke for the day. You probably won't get it if you're not a 90s sitcom fan. How do you find Will Smith in the snow? You look for fresh prints. Oh, and while we're here, I have a little statue that my little nephew painted for me, Ledger. He gave it to me and made it for me at Christmas time there, so I got it here at my desk for a paperweight. Thank you, Ledgehead. Appreciate it, Ledger. All right. Open up your notebooks. This is a short lesson. I'm going to go ahead and show you the screen here. These are the last 2 things you should have in your notes, the Navigation Acts, and you guys remember them from class. The Navigation Acts, oh, the colonists didn't like this law, but the king passed the Navigation Acts with the Privy Council, of course, in England, and it said the colonies could only trade with, that's right, you said England, and imports to the colonies were? Yeah, that's right, they were taxed. Colonists were upset at this law. And the last word in, of course, was the Middle Passage, that horrible, unsanitary trip across the Atlantic Ocean on a slave ship, and how inhumane and cruel that was. So to activate your brain a little bit, I want you to think about this question. What's West Virginia's #1 cash crop? Now, for those of you who said coal, I want to remind you of something. If coal popped into your brain, I want you to remind you about something. Coal is not a crop. You don't plant a seed and grow coal. So the cash crop, well, West Virginia's #1 cash crop. Now, I didn't say it was a legal cash crop, but actually the #1 cash crop in West Virginia is marijuana. But we're going to be talking a little bit about the economies in the South, the economies in the North, and we all know that cash crops like cotton and tobacco were the cash crops that drove the economies in the South. So let's take out our notebooks. You should have these. Remember to take good notes. In our first question, EQ6, how were economies different in the North and the South? Because you know in the North, too cold, not a long growing season, you know they can't grow. They don't have the capabilities, the climate to grow, you know, huge, vast cash crops in the North. So I made a little T-chart for our answer here. In the South, of course, we're very familiar with this. We've discussed it 5 times already. But this is how the South made money. Right there, money. Remember our song we did in class? Money, 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 money. In the South, the colonies made their money off huge plantation farms with agriculture, the cash crops, and they used slave labor to do it, unfortunately. In the North, however, where the climate wasn't conducive to plantation farms, they did a lot of shipbuilding. Lumber was a big asset to them. Some small industries, and fishing, huge along the coast in the New England and northeastern colonies. So there's the difference between the northern colonies and the southern colonies and how they made their money. You can pause this video and write those down real quick. Now we're moving on to EQ #7. The slaves became the main workforce Excuse the bell there. The slaves did become the main workforce in the South. We talked about how sad and awful slavery is, but the southern colonies did use this labor on the plantation farms. But they became the main workforce in the South because they replaced somebody we haven't talked about for a while. The indentured servants. Remember the indentured servant program. If you were down on your luck, in exchange for a boat ticket to the New World, you had to work 4 to 6 years on plantation farms in the New World, and you could earn your freedom that way. But this program was dying out. People weren't taking advantage of this program anymore. And all of the indentured servants who were over in the New World and in the British colonies eventually, worked off their debt and were gone. So the indentured servant program kind of fizzled out. So slaves became the main workforce in the South as indentured servants left and the program died out and no one was there doing that. And of course, we've already discussed this. For southern colonies, it was cheaper labor to use slave labor, sadly. The only 2 vocabulary words here are cash crops, since, some of you thought about coal being a cash crop. But remember, cash crops are crops that are raised and sold for money. And the last vocabulary word is the slave codes were developed by the colonies over in the New World to help control the slaves and to help restrict them. As sad as it sounds, they put these codes in place to control the slave population in the South. I told you this would be kind of a short note. It really wasn't long. It didn't take very long to put those in. There's going to be an assignment put in, a little halfway quiz for Unit 3, so make sure you do that assignment. And hopefully I will see all of you at school pretty soon. You can always message me on Schoology and ask me questions, talk to me, and I'll get back to you with answers. Or if I don't have answers, I'll try to find out the answer from someone. And I will see you guys in school next week. And the next lesson will be the last lesson in our unit. And we're going to talk about how a religious movement swept through the colonies called the Great Awakening. And that'll be the next unit's lesson. Sophomores, until then, see you next week.